My best friend dated my brother. My 18F BSF started dating my brother 23 meters behind my back. Plot twist. For a little bit of a backstory, the beginning of this story happened in 2021 during COVID, so she was living with us for about a year and a half since COVID started. My sister, brother, and I still live at home. She would go home for maybe 5 days out of the month, so most of her time was spent with us. We have also been friends since middle school, and we've had conversations about how if they ever dated, it would be weird, and how uncomfortable it would be, but how it would also be kinda cool to be sister-in-laws, and she would tell me she could never date my brother, how he was like a brother to her. She also had a history of lying about small things here and there, like one time in high school, she said that Tate McRae stole a song from her, and that's how she got famous. She also had her mom say it was true and that she knew Tate McRae. Rachel and Brian also got each other's phone numbers from when my sister was in the hospital and wanted to keep us updated on how she was doing though Snapchat. Okay, so fast forward to right before graduation. I kind of knew something was going on between them. They would flirt right in front of my sister, and we were dumb enough to not notice. And he started hanging out with us a lot, which he never did before. I 18F confronted her about it and just asked, is anything going on between you two? And she looked me in my eyes and said no, I would never do that, so I dropped it and moved on. A couple days after graduation, we planned to go to San Francisco as a little graduation trip, but the night before Rachel had to house sit, and we had to leave early. Because we lived 2 hours away from San Francisco, and we wanted to beat the traffic, it was also her first time house sitting, so I went with her, which the house owner said it was fine. We were watching TV when all of a sudden she said, should we invite your brother over? I said, no, only if he brings my sister. My sister was also friends with her at the time and wanted to come. They messaged back and forth for a little, and she ended up saying that my sister didn't want to come, but that she still invited my brother. I found it a little weird because I didn't know they had each other's numbers, but didn't read too much into it, and said okay, and asked if he was spending the night. She said aye. He came over, and he hung out for a bit. It was a little awkward, and all we did was watch TV. It was getting dark out, and I said to Brian, are you going to go home? It's getting a little late. He said, no, I think I'll just sleep here at this point. I was a little annoyed and tired to fight him or her on it, because we had to get up early so we can beat the traffic, and it was getting late, and I didn't want to cause a scene. So I ended up taking one end of the couch, while Rachel took the air mattress. Because I can't sleep with people in a bed with me, like I don't sleep at all, which is my problem, but I thought Brian was going to sleep on the other side of the couch, which was L-shaped, so it had lots of room. But I didn't know where he ended up because I fell asleep first like I always do. But I ended up waking up to see them cuddling on the air mattress. I was too tired to do anything and thought I was seeing things. I basically gaslit myself into thinking it wasn't really happening. I also didn't want to cancel, which in hindsight I should have. So I just went back to bed. They ended up waking me up to leave. I went to the bathroom, and when I got out my brother was gone. It was just a little awkward when cleaning up and on the car ride home. A couple of days after the trip to San Francisco, I talked to my sister about what I thought was going on between Rachel and Brian, and what I saw. She felt the same way, and asked if we should look through her phone, but I said no, I don't want to do that because it's an invasion of privacy. So my sister said okay, and we moved on. Later that night, we were at the dining room table painting, and they were flirting right in front of me. My sister ended up walking in the room, and I looked at her and mouthed see. She ended up leaving and went to her room. We were cleaning up when my sister called me into the room. I could tell she was upset when I got in there, so I asked what is going on, and she said that she went through Rachel's phone because it was charging in my sister room, which Rachel stayed in when she slept over. And she found a whole bunch of messages between the both of them, how much they liked each other and how he wants to take her out, make it official. So we called Rachel into the room and asked her what is going on between them, and she said nothing. So my sister ended up saying that she saw the messages on her phone and it would be better if she just told the truth. She still lied and said it was all Brian, that he had a crush on her and that she didn't feel the same way, and how she didn't know what to do putting all the blame on him. But my sister saw the messages and both parties were participating in the conversations. It was a big fight, and my sister ended up blowing up at both of them for one not telling us to because we asked multiple times and she lied about it. Everybody ended up cooling down because it was getting late, so we went to bed. She was gone the next morning. Fast forward to 0.5 years later, we are 20 and my brother is 25. Everything is okay. We're living together at my parents' house. She moved into my brother's room. We were all happy and getting along. We all were planning our futures together we all wanted to move out together. They wanted to get married and have kids together, the whole 9 yards, until Halloween morning rolls around. And my sister comes into my room telling me that Brian and Rachel broke up and that she cheated. I thought it was a joke at first, but when I went upstairs, everything was packed and she was gone. My brother ended up telling us that he went through her phone because she wanted to go spend the night at one of her girlfriends' or co-worker's house. So when she woke up in the morning, she can do everyone's makeup that spent the night there. Which she was not the best at makeup. She knew how to do the basics, but Halloween makeup, I don't think so. Now I am not judging, but I had to put her eyelashes on for her, do her contour. There were other red flags, like she would go to work at 7 a.m. and wouldn't get home until 8 p.m. claiming she was hanging out with her girlfriends. She also started hanging out after hours with her girlfriends, like going to the mall, and went to their house a couple of times to hang and dye their hair. We also had each other's locations for safety reasons, and I saw her location at some points, and she was telling the truth on where she was going, just not who she was going with. All the information that my brother got was that it had been happening for 2 months and that it is someone she works with, so I ended up texting her to ask if we can meet up and talk, and she said yes. So I went over to her mom's apartment. I say mom's apartment because she lives in a 1-bedroom apartment since Rachel moved out because it was only her. Rachel ended up telling me that it was some guy from the kitchen at the restaurant she works at that he was wait for at 42 years old, and that she couldn't find a connection with her dad, my brother, and that she found that connection with him. This is also when she admitted that the Tate McRae stuff was also a lie. She also said that it started when he offered her to shotgun a beer after their shift at work, which we knew about because she came home one day all happy about it and told us what happened, and we said to never do that again, that she didn't know them and she could have been seriously hurt. Rachel would also tell us that this guy would flirt with all the girls that she worked with, even the underage ones. There were a couple other things I thought she was lying about, but I did want to confront her about it because they are pretty serious allegations, and I didn't want to seem like an asshole if they were real, but it's pretty hard to figure out what is real and fake now. You might be saying your brother was probably an asshole and that he deserved it because men suck. But from the outside perspective, and I say outside because you never know what happens behind closed doors, but on the outside it was great. She didn't have a job for a while because of anxiety, which is fine, but he was paying for everything, her food, when we went out. We went on a lot of trips, to a lot of concerts, and he paid for most of it. She was living in my parents' house rent-free, and he even paid for her car bill at one point. But all that to be said, the cheating happened 10 months ago. And my siblings and I are doing great, traveling more than ever, going to as many shows as we can and making new friends. As for Rachel, last I heard she was still with the 42-year-old at her mom's apartment, which her mom doesn't want her there because she has a new boyfriend and wants to bring him over, which is ironically funny because her mom didn't want her moving out with us in the first place. But that was about 5 months ago, so I don't really know how she is, nor do I care anymore. Her life, her problem.